Hello, hello, hello. We are live. Welcome to another live coaching with me, Graham Ezzy. I'm broadcasting from Hamburg, Germany. Let us know where you are joining from and if you windsurf this week. I did. I was up in Denmark and I had a few days actually, and some of them were pretty fun. I think Thursday was the best. Yeah, last week Thursday, we had not the conditions that I was hoping for. So it was what was the wind direction? Kind of a southwesterly wind, and that can be wonderful side off down the line in Handsome, and I was hoping for that, but it ended up being just too small there. So the wind was there, but the waves were too small for me. There were some other people, or maybe a dozen windsurfers that had really fun sessions there. Some windsurfing masterclass alumni among them, Stina and John. Shout out to them for going out. But I wanted some bigger waves, so I went out on the Klitmiller Reef, which had more onshore wind but logo high waves. And so I was on my 5.0 and logo high. And the day before, I had a 5.5 session. Maybe it was 2 days before. Yeah, no, it was on the Tuesday. So I got in the water, had fun. Nothing crazy. It looked like it was going to really come in epic with the down the line conditions, and that didn't happen for me. I opted for bigger waves rather than down the line, but it was still fun. Was still fun. We've got some people showing up in the chat. And if you're just joining us, let us know where you are and if you sailed this week. And if you did sail, what was it like? What were the conditions like? We've got Greg in the chat. Hello, hello, hello. We've got Jorg as well. First session after his muscle issue. Cool. Christoph. And, the funny thing with Christoph is I am going to see him in a week. That's when our first masterclass in Morocco kicks off. It's when our first masterclass in Morocco kicks off. And it is full. It's booked out, full. But I'm doing a second masterclass also in Morocco. And there are some spots, and that is June 15th to the 21st. We've got Greg. Greg is going to be on the masterclass. And we've got a few more spots. It's full enough that it'll be a great course like this, but there's a few more spots I'd like to fill. So if you know someone who would benefit from joining a masterclass, let them know. And so if you go to, actually, I've got a favor to ask everyone. If you want to help, it costs you nothing. You want to help out the live coaching and what we're doing here with the Facebook group and Windsurfing Masterclass. You can go to this this video. Oh, why is that not working? I don't know why that doesn't work. Okay, hold on a second. So you can go to windsurfingmasterclass.com and send them the schedule, but there's also a video which is on the YouTube. So let's find it. And my question for you, my favor that I ask of you, if you want to support the channel, is to take this video. There we go. And I'll post it in the chat and share it in your local WhatsApp group. And if you've been on a masterclass, you can share what that experience was like. Again, this is something that can really help me. It costs nothing for you, and it helps support the community and the live coaching and everything else that we're doing here, this whole project. So if you just share that video in your Facebook group and you talk about not your Facebook group, your WhatsApp group, because I know there's all these local WhatsApp groups, and talk about how the coaching has helped you, whether you've been on a masterclass or from the Facebook group or from the live coaching. All right, without further ado, let's jump back into the chat and get on with it. We've got Suna Suna is also going to be in Morocco. The forecast is looking wonderful. We've got Joe. Joe is also going to be in Morocco. And yeah, looking forward to it. Harold is also going to be in Morocco. We've got a good Morocco crew in the chat. Not everyone is on the same week, but you guys are going to get to meet each other because I know that some people have booked to arrive early or to stay longer. So some of you guys are in week 1, some are in week 2, but everyone will get a chance to meet up. Maybe at some point we'll do um, maybe on the one of those nights, maybe we'll do just a informal windsurfing masterclass. Everyone get together dinner. We've got Matt as well, who's going to join us in Morocco, and he's had 4 sessions over the past 2 weekends. Awesome. Yeah. So, like I said, I just want to repeat it. Something you can do to help this community, the live coaching, everything, is to share that video. It's on my YouTube. I posted the link in the Facebook group and in the chat. So I posted a bunch of places. Just share that in your local WhatsApp group. And if people want to sign up, there's space in the second week in Morocco and also in Gran Canaria. All right. So let's go through the Facebook post. So Mulderick has had a Liz Frank injury about a year ago and has become more aware about the foot strap settings. Liz Frank is a very common but severe windsurfing industry. He's adjusted his straps bigger, and now they feel loose contact with the board. What is the advice for max safety and performance? Kare, this is from Kare, who's also going to be in Morocco. We've got such a good crew. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for Morocco. So this is a good question. And yeah, so my basic answer now, I've never had the Liz Frank injury, is that they're not all straps are created equal. Some straps are stretchy. So not to throw them under the bus, but the taboo straps that come with the boards are pretty stretchy. And that increases your chance of injury. The Decine Primo straps, so not the Supremo, but the Decine Primo straps are not stretchy. They're rigid, they're solid, and I think that offers a much better protection for your foot, because the problem with a stretchy strap, you might think, oh, stretchy is good because it gives. But the problem is that then you get all twisted up in it. And so then instead of your foot more easily coming out, it can stay in it in positions that are not good for your bones and ligaments and tendons. So stretchy straps, I think, are bad. So you want a rigid strap. My go-to is the Decine Primo. Next, you want to make sure that the strap is narrow enough. You want it pinching on the sides. So you want your board contact coming from the sides, and you can have it high on the top. So it's narrow but high, and that's going to be the most effective for board contact while also giving you the safety and ability to get out of the strap. What you want to make sure is that you're not just having your toes covered. And if you have been windsurfing for a long time with just your toes in the strap, it will take some getting used to having your whole foot in the strap, but that is a much better way to sail, and you have a lot more control and direct power over the board. So it leads to much higher performance as well as being safer. But what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to make a little note for myself, just a little note. Reach out to Jagger about Liz Frank, because Jagger Stone, friend of mine, he's had Liz Frank, and he might have some insight, as well as Robbie Swift and Flo Young. I'll ask all 3 of them and see what they do, if they do anything different with their straps. We've got Chris in the chat. He said he had a great week with 4 good sessions. Can't watch the rest of the live, but we'll catch up later. We appreciate you being here. Kare is on RRD. Hello, Eric. All right, let's keep pounding through the group. All right, so questions for this week. Chris says he's been trying a few goo screw attempts off weak waves, and he's getting around okay, but ending up under the sail and on his back. He's trying to keep driving on the rail the whole way through to keep the momentum, but finds it hard without loads of down the line speed. He saw a section on a wave behind and went for it, but it's all he has. All right, so let's make this bigger if we can. No, we can't. Thanks, Facebook. Sometimes with the Facebook videos embedded in comments, it doesn't let me make it bigger. But what I can do is I can make this bigger. And okay, I'm gonna have to adjust this back when we get out of this, otherwise it'll throw off everything else. But all right, let's watch this. So getting into the rotation, leaning into the turn, the sail is very open. So all of those are good. All of those are good. So Chris, what I think is happening here is you're trying too hard. And that sounds weird. That sounds like not very good advice. Like, what are you going to do with that advice? But with the goose screw, and this is true also with Wave 360s, if you do too much, it disrupts the rotation and then you stop rotating, which is what happens here. You can see he comes up to the wave, everything's looking pretty good, and then he just stops. And that's because he's doing too much. And so in fact, you want to keep everything open. And so here you can see he's pulling in on the sail, leaning the body back. And so in fact, what you want to do is really the opposite of that. What you want to do is just continue this easy flowy carve. And so you want to keep the sail really open. In fact, you don't have to sheet in at all. And you want to continue leaning into the curve, and you don't even have to push off with your legs. And so I know it looks like when people do 360s that then they're leaning back and they're throwing the sail around, but actually it's really a feeling of doing not much. And if ever you're sheeting in and twisting, it's only at the end of the move. Let's see if we can find a video. Let's see if we can find a video. I don't know if I like all of these how-to videos. I want to see just someone doing a goose screw. Let's see if this is a good example. Can you guys see it? Let me check. Maybe I have to make it smaller. We got Dom Dom in the chat. Hello, Dom Dom. All right, we're talking about goose screws. Let's make this there. So hopefully, yeah. All right, so let's, oops, what happened there? All right, so bottom turning, keeping the sail open, leaning into the turn, like we saw, leaning into the turn. Look how open the sail is, and look how into the turn, he's leaning. I'm gonna make myself smaller here, so we don't get disrupted. Leaning into the turn, coming up, and see the sail is still open, and it looks like he's leaning back, but I tell you, it doesn't feel like you're leaning back. And the sail is actually still open, and then at this moment, he's sheeting in once the rotation is pretty much almost done, right? And so the feeling is really that you're not doing much, is that you're keeping the sail open, sailing up into the wind, and the feeling, what it's closest to, is like a clue first back loop. It feels like a clue first back loop. So if you can do back loops, and you kind of imagine that gentle feeling of going up into the wind, that's what it feels like. So let's look at some other videos. Let's look at some other videos. So this is one. I don't know what this is. This is an ad. That's what this is. All right, so let's watch the ad, and then we're going to get back to it. So, all right, so this is from Ben's channel. Let's watch some of these examples and see if what I'm saying is happening here. So sail open, leaning into the turn, sail still open, sail, he's starting to maybe close it there, but you can see it's not a super aggressive sheet in. And let's look at what's happening with the body in that one. Whoa, that was a Pretty nice 360. All right, so this one, you can see the body. So I know it looks like he's leaning back, but the feeling is that you're leaning into the turn, because when you are actually leaning back, then it looks like this, where then you're really leaning over and back. And in fact, when it feels like you're continuing to lean into the turn, then you're just over the board. But you want to keep the sail open. What's super important is that you keep the sail open. So see in this, Chris is already starting to close the sail as he's coming up the wave. And so you want to keep the sail open. You can keep it open through the whole rotation. So you don't even have to, um, you don't even have to close the sail. You don't have to sheet out. You can keep the sail open through the whole rotation. So, Chris, those two things will make a huge difference. So keeping the sail open and not leaning your body back. So keep thinking about leaning your body into the rotation and really think about doing not very much. The goose screw, the Wave 360, it's a very subtle move. It's a very subtle move. And so if you're doing too much, it disrupts everything and the rotation stops. All right, we have Axel, who is also going to be in Morocco. Theme of the week. Remember to. Ooh, I got a huge bug on me. Look at this guy.
Can I see?
I got a huge bug on me. I gotta put him out the window. I don't know if you guys can see that. Just give me a second. I'm just gonna throw this bug out the window.
Can I see? That's a bush grasshopper. That's a grasshopper.
All right, I'm back. Bug gone. So Ariel. So we're gonna work on this in Morocco. Morocco is a great place to learn aerials. If you want to learn aerials, there's a spot for you in week 2 of Morocco. I sound like a broken record. You can go to windsurfingmasterclass.com to see the schedule here, do the application. If you have any questions about it, also don't hesitate to reach out to me. All right, so speed and timing are the keys to the frontside aerial. Speed and timing. So you need to have speed, and then you need the right timing. And what you're looking for is getting that high five, like we're always talking about, but timing it so that your board catches that high five. Which way can I do this so you see it? So if this is your board, this is the wave, catches the high five, and it flies into the air. So it's a lot about speed and timing and just getting that placement. In the beginning, you want to try doing them off the back of the wave. It doesn't make sense to try to land them in front. In the beginning, it's just about trying to get that height. Another thing that people often do wrong with aerials, which is really similar to what we saw with the 360, is they try too hard. And so with the aerial, you don't want to be trying to pull your legs up, because that disconnects you from the power of the wave, and it's the power of the wave that's going to throw you into the air and create that aerial. And so by trying to suck up your legs, you're actually making it so you can't aerial. But that's a very common mistake that people do. So in fact, you want to keep that pressure against the wave. In fact, as much pressure as you can, so that then you get more of that fling effect from the power of the wave. And the more speed you have, the better. And so you can look for those corner pocket sections coming towards you, but you want to make sure that they have a bit of curl, and you're fitting that board in the curl, getting that high five, getting that projection, and not trying to land in front of the wave. And that is where to start with aerials. If you are in an onshore spot, and so this is not the case for you, Axel, but if you are in an onshore spot, start learning them backside aerials. It's the same principle. It's a lot easier than frontside, and that's what I recommend. All right, we've got Axel in Hamburg. No wind, no sailing, but he had fun at the surf festival in Fairmont. We got Ragnar in the chat. No surf this week. All right, let's keep going. So we've got a video from Tomas. It's of Alex, filmed by Tomas. Let's press play. Let's press play here. Can you guys see this? Or do we need to make it bigger? Beautiful sailing. Look at that. Yeah. I love the drone footage. Good job, Tomas. So there wasn't a coaching question attached to this, so I'm not going to get into the coaching. Beautiful sailing. nice long wave, really going after it. Yeah, beautiful footage. If you have footage of yourself that you just want to celebrate and you don't want coaching, also post it in the group. Part of improving, part of learning is celebrating those successes as well. Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful footage, beautiful waves. Yeah. I like that completion in the turns, really going for some carving. All right, how do I make this? I can't make it bigger. Or as big as we can get. Yeah, cool. All right, that's the whole video. Let's go back. Go back to the group. All right, let's keep going. All right, next up, we have this forward loop from Peter, and he's been on a very long journey, and he wants to land it with both feet in the straps, and he doesn't want to spend too long water starting after the landing. His regular spot is on a lake, but last week he was in vacancy, and it was easier to do the whole rotation, but he had some landings like this. So let's watch the video. All right, I'm gonna move this over the wrong way. Make it a little bit smaller. How's that? That's okay, right? All right. So let's play this thing. So, all right, going for the ramp, throwing. I mean, you do it forwards. This is a forward. What can we improve here? So some of the standards are you want to be moving this backhand back, having a wide grip on the forward makes a huge difference. So you want to move that hand back. You can move it all the way back to the clips if you want. You can move it all the way back to the clips. All right, so he's getting some throw off the ramp, pulling in. Also, looking back will help. Another thing that could be helpful. So I think the first thing to think about is just getting that wider grip. But I'm just gonna let this play, and you guys look at it, see if there's anything else that you think could be useful. All right. So, chat, what do you think? Meanwhile, we've got Kevin joining us. He had 3 down the line days. Awesome. And he's got footage he's going to post. So what else do you guys think about this forward? What can Peter do? What can Peter do differently? Let's see what the comments say. So my first thing to do would be to work on. So the hand is actually coming back. I missed that the first time around, but you can go even farther back. Um, I have a couple more comments as well, but let's see what people are saying, and I want to know what you think as well in the chat. All right, so Paul says you're not moving your back hand enough. Yep, I agree with that. Throw the rig up and downwind. I don't know if I agree with that. I think you actually want to throw the rig up and a little bit into the wind, not downwind, and then look back and pull. But it's not even so much pulling with your backhand. it's also about pushing with the front hand. And so it's really this twisting, torquing motion. And so something that I'll come back to that. Josh says it's got the same problem. For him, it's caused by not tucking the back leg up enough, combined with the backhand not far enough back. Yep. Manu says pop straight, and you got it. You're kicking the board forward slightly at the pop, and it's killing the rotation. So remain standing up. All right, let's go back. Let's go back to the video. So we've got some comments. Joe says he needs to kick the board downwind more and keep the back leg up tighter. Christoph says looking over the shoulder for a flatter rotation. Yeah, both of those are really good comments. Let's play the video again, and I'm going to show you a few other things that I saw. So with the forward, it can be very helpful to push the board actually ahead of the rotation. And so in this example, the board is pretty much just happening with the rotation. Everything's rotating as a unit, but actually you can push the board around ahead so that you don't really want to fully push in until the board is pointing downwind. And so you can do that by really scissoring your legs to really push that board downwind, and you can bring the sail up into the upward. Why does this keep doing this? I just want to pause it. To give you an example. All right, it doesn't want to let me pause it. So is this still fine? Yeah, it's still fine. Okay, so at this point, instead of really throwing with the body, you can keep the sail pretty open and try to get the board pointed downwind and then sheeting in. So you're really driving the board with your feet. And then the second thing I want to point out is you don't want to be pulling the sail like this with both hands into your chest and pushing your head forward. And so you're bringing the sail in with the back hand, but the front hand is still really driving the sail forward. And you don't want the head forward like this, like leaned in over the boom. You want it looking back, and that you're sort of leaning against the sail. It's not a somersault, so you don't want to be leaning forward into it like a somersault. So if that makes sense, let's see if let's find another forward loop continent 7. Let's just find some examples, and I can show you what I mean. So look, this looks like a good one from Miguel. It's not too high. All right, so is this in a good position? Yeah, it is. All right. So this one, you can kind of see it. It's super windy, and so the sail's pretty loaded up. So you can't quite see that he's pushing the board downwind. Maybe this one from Sarah. Hand goes back. Look at how far she moves her hand back. Super key. Bam, almost to the clips. Gets up. Here you can see it. Look at how far the nose is pointing downwind before she even sheets in. And so that's coming from two things. It's coming from this mast hand driving the nose down, and it's coming from the feet scissoring. And so that scissoring is this front foot pushing the nose down and this back leg tucking up. And so this position, she's just starting to sheet in. And if we compare that to Peter, and we look at the moment that you're starting to sheet in, it's about here. The legs are not very tucked up, and they're not driving the nose downwind. And then look at how nice and quick that rotation is out of it. And you can see that she's pulling the sail into her, but the body's not hunched over into it. I mean, she's actually pretty tucked up with that front hand, which I guess can happen. So maybe that's not something to get too focused on. But getting the wide grip and then really using your feet to scissor the board is going to make a huge difference. All right, next up, I'm going to play this. This is a video from Gonan wondering what he should do differently. And I would like to know what you guys think. So what does the chat think he should have done differently? Let's watch this a few times. I like this. I like asking you guys and seeing what their responses are, because I think there's one very clear thing. This is not much of a mystery. I mean, okay, there are multiple things that could have been done to improve this, but there's also just one thing that would have made this work instead of turning into a wipeout. So let's see if we can get some answers in the chat. I know we have a little bit of a delay, which then makes these things a little bit hard, but we can just keep watching this. Really good conditions. I think this is from Israel, which is awesome conditions. That's wild. Really nice heavy waves. While you guys are coming up with an answer, looks like fun. Where is the spot? All right, let's go back and watch the video. So, all right, we don't have any answers yet, so I'm gonna. All right, so Dom Dom's giving us an answer. He's saying going higher to get a better high five, and yeah, that's pretty much exactly like it. And so he's not getting a high five at all, and that's the problem. And so there are multiple things he could be doing differently. He could have more speed. There's some issues here with this bottom turn, where the body is really upright, and there's a lot of ankle flex. And we talked about not having ankle flex and instead bending at the hips. You really want to bend at these hips. So like here, the hips are very upright, and you want that body really bent over going into the bottom turn. And you never really want this to be in this position where you're standing up with your hips pushed in. So all of those are issues. And then also to come up the wave, you want to be sheeting out. So all of those are issues. But really the main thing is exactly what people are saying. Like Greg is saying, hit the corner pocket. So it's exactly that. So if you hit this section, what we call the high five on the corner pocket. So this is a corner pocket section. This is exactly the kind of section that you should go for. It is going to transfer the energy from the lip into your board, and it's going to project you in front. But instead, if you try to turn under the lip, then you're not going to get that energy, and the lip is going to break on top of you. You can see that the lip is throwing here. This is where the energy is, and it's pushing you down. So instead of transferring into your board and projecting you out, it's crashing on top of you and driving you down and causing you to crash. And so it seems counterintuitive that actually hitting the lip is safer, but it is safer in this case because it's going to project you forward. And so if you go up, get that board position so that you have the bottom facing the lip, you're going to get a high five. It's going to project you. So you just come up right into this lip. Boom. It's going to be like just the most perfect sensation you can imagine, because this is one of these moments that I just love about windsurfing, even in huge waves. Like I love this at Hokipa with double mast high waves, and I'm scared. I'm so scared to hit the lip, but I just want to hit the lip. And it's this feeling of just coming up into this wave that if you had no speed, it would just break on you and drive you into the reef. But put your board in that position, the high five position, and the wave hits the bottom of the board. You get that projection, and it just throws you to safety. It's just such magic. It's such magic. It's this feeling of connection with the power of the wave. There's this element of faith in it, because you have to have faith that by putting yourself in the moment and jaws of danger, that is actually going to be your way to safety. But it's really true. And so if you just hit that section, get that high five in the lip, you're going to be fine. You're going to make it. You're not going to fall. You might fall at the end, but it's going to be a less radical, less dangerous fall because you'll be projected away from the dangerous part of the wave. Whereas this, you're in the jaws of it. Otherwise, going in, what I want you to focus on is getting some bend at the hips. You really want to get bent over at the hips. This is very straight, and so you want to just really get bent over at the hips, and you don't want to be driving it just with your ankles. Yeah, so basically, like Joe says, hit it. Yeah, exactly. All right, let's keep going. So time for wins. We got a lot of wins this month. I love going through these. Let's look at them all. We do this at the end of every month. Kevin scored a starboard tack down the line session. Got to try his opposite tack. Awesome. Alex got out. We saw the video from it. Greg is out of his out of his doldrums, and he had some amazing sessions the last 4 days. Starboard tack wave riding, port tack wave riding, port tack jumping, and his previously broken elbow is giving him some issues. Ouch. Mario is on his rehab journey. This is a pretty sick forward. I love it. From Dom Dom. Awesome. And some wave riding too. Awesome. Elena, this is the one. So I love reading all your wins, but this one I was really stoked about. So Elena is in the Flocka course. So we're doing a Flocka workshop. It's too late to sign up, so I can't make that full screen. So if you want to learn the Flocka, you got to wait till the next time we do the course, which we'll probably do it again. And the Flocka is really one of the hardest moves, and I thought it was going to take someone a few months to get it, maybe even a year. And we're a few weeks in, and Elena nailed it. I love this one. This is such a good Flocka, and she claims it at the end here, which very, very deserved. So I'm super stoked on this. And it's also a nice proof of concept. When I do these online courses, it's so hard to know what's going to transfer through the internet. And so seeing someone super stoked and pick up a new move, what I think is the hardest move to learn, in just a matter of a few weeks, it's cool. So this is a win for me too. I'm really stoked on this. Jorg has close to 100% of his tacks on both sides. Awesome. Jorg is also in the Flocka course, working on it. Axel getting rid of his tennis elbow. Nicholas had the first session of the year. And Pekka had a wave session after a winter break, and he left his harness on the beach. Oh no. Chris is getting back on the water as well, working on the goose cruise and a few forwards. Awesome. Some great wins. Got a question from Joe about waxing his board, and because he wants more grip. The overwhelming majority of responses say no, don't do it. Don't wax your board. And so instead, he picked up somewhere in the comments here, not a grip. And so Joe, you got to let us know what happens and if it works. What I recommend is getting it regripped by a professional shaper, or board repairer, though Joe said he did that and it didn't really work. So results may vary. I have a guy on Maui that does an insane job, almost too insane. Then the boards are cutting up my feet after, and I've got to sand them down again. Hold on, my son is still up. He's supposed to be in bed. Let me just talk to him for a second. All right, guys, I'm back. I'm back. Okay, so we got a question from Bob asking about boom height. Some say higher for light winds and more power, lower for high winds and more control. Some say the reverse. I think one of the problems with this discussion is people mean different things when they say power and control. In general, I will use a higher boom for onshore conditions, for free riding, for freestyle, because a higher boom is more comfortable. A higher boom gets you planing earlier. A higher boom gives you more leverage over the gear so you can really hold it down. So I like a high boom and high winds. I know some people say they like a high boom in low boom in high winds, but I don't get that because when you lower your boom, the sail ends up feeling heavier and it's kind of moving all over more, which is what you want for wave sailing because you want to be able to really maneuver the sail to get it leaned over, get it pushed over the center line of the board. And so for doing radical bottom turns and cutbacks, you want a lower boom. But in general, for free riding, that high boom is really good. In higher winds, I find the um, the higher boom is gives me more control over the gear. Um, and so Manu is saying that a lower boom brings the nose down. So what I would do if I want to keep the nose settled, which is definitely something that can come up with really high winds. And so like in Pozo, for example, I move my mast base forward. I move my mast base forward, and that helps keep the nose down. And it seems like Manu is saying something similar here. I'll answer Bob in this just in case you're not watching the YouTube, but that's sort of the short of it. But I'm curious what other people do. My main theme on this is that you should experiment. You should experiment. All right, here we've got a video from Ian, and he's going for back loops. Going for back loops. So can you guys see this? Yeah, you can see this. Okay, so the first thing that I see that's going wrong, Ian, is that you're rotating right off the ramp and you're rotating in one motion. The back loop is not one motion. The back loop is two motions. You go up and then you go down. It's not a loop like a forward loop. You go up and then you go down. It's one motion. Here you're getting a little bit more head looking, but you can see that the head is still trailing the rotation. The rotation is going ahead. So these, I wouldn't even call these back loops. These are more like push loops. I hope that's not offensive. I hope that doesn't bother you. But the back loop is actually a really different rotation than this. This is much more close to a push loop. So back loop is a two-part rotation and it's really led by the head and the sail. And these are closer to push loops. So what you can do is you can go for push loops, or you can change your approach and work on back loops. So let's find some back loops, and yeah, let's find some back loops. Here's a back loop from Sarah. Let's watch it and see if she does what I say. Yep. So you go up and then you go down. So you can see that it's not a loopy rotation. It's not like it's a constant rotation. You go up and then at the top, turn the head, and you can see how the head is leading the rotation, right? The head is looking way ahead of where you're landing, and then you just come down and land. And it's not even a 360. So if we can really contrast these two loops, right? Where Ian, your head is trailing the rotation. So right, you're rotating this way, but your head is looking this way. And then it's like a constant rotation off the ramp. So this is much closer to a push loop. This is in fact almost a push loop. If you just threw it just a little bit more and pushed the sail forward, you would have landed a push loop. Let's watch another back loop. So here's one from me. Um, Again, it's up, and then the head looks over, the sail leads, come down, land on the nose. Let's watch another one. Ooh, this is cool because it's from the head perspective. So up, head leads and comes down. So yeah, this is another good example of it. So you can see he's just going up, just going up, just going up. He's not rotating at all. It's just a straight jump up. And then at the top, the head is looking around, driving the rotation. Boom. Let's watch this one from Amato. Again, up, and then at the top, the head goes around. This is super windy, so the rotation's a little bit different. It's not different, it's just it looks different, but the same concept still applies. It's just crazy windy. Here's one from Ibaya. She goes up, bam, it's just like a straight jump. Head looks over at the top, falls down. Second part of the rotation. So it's really in two parts. What I love about this one from Ibaya is you can really see how little you need to rotate. She's doing like a 180, right? Like a little bit more than a 180, but you can do just a 180. You know, it's really not a 360. Like if you look at where she's landing, and so she's, you know, starts rotating from this point up into the wind, and then she lands. So 180 would be like here. So she lands just a little bit more than a 180. Like let's call it a 180. That's pretty close to a 180. Look at that, where she's pointing, right? So she's like, just take a good look at like, if we were going to look at the board is pointing like somewhere here. And if we look at where she took off, right? And then she does the rest of the little turn in the water. So you really don't need to do much rotation. And so it's really just about going up and then coming down. So you see, going up, look at that. No rotation at all, just going up, just going up, just going up. Head goes over the shoulder, steers down, boom. This is a perfect example. I really like this one from Jorge. Look, he just goes up, sails up, 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 up. Head looks over, head is guiding the rotation, kind of. A little bit less here, actually, with the head guiding the rotation, but still. So that's going to make a big difference. Or you can start throwing push loops, and some people will find push loops more natural. We've got Joe in the chat. I believe Joe is someone who learned the push loop before the back loop. So yeah, and so that is something that you can do. All right, so we are caught up, and so I posted this. I guess we're not quite caught up because we haven't talked about these. So at the end of last week's live stream, I asked for your stories about windsurfing with your kids, the good, the bad, the ugly, and pictures of them. And we had a lot of comments here, and I love looking at them and reading them, looking at um, kids learning to windsurf. It's always fun. Look at him go. I love this. Look, this is such a cool video. So this is there's a system, a rope, or everyone is connected. That's such a genius way to do it. I love it. Chris, thank you for sharing this. So cool. We've got Mark Jackson with his kids. Kind of windy, figuring it out. But look at this. I love this with kids. Look at how quick they can just get into it. I love it. Look at that. Getting some speed. This is Steve with his daughter. Look at that. Tandem. We got a good story from Joe as well. I like this. Key points, keep them warm. So my son went windsurfing for the first time last weekend, and he had a lot of fun, but he just got too cold, way too cold. And so it ended with crying. So keep them warm. This is really good. Suits, boots, impact vest, dry robe for after, maybe something warm to drink. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I love it. This is a cool story. And he follows up with a question, which I think is a really good question. What board? So the kids are like 45 kilos, but they're really doing well. They're water starting, they're catching waves. And what's the progress? Like, what are the boards to get? So if you have kids who have gone from the big 120 liter boards down to something that's closer to their weight, what did that process look like? I think this is a really good question. Yeah, another great long post from Peter, and I love it. There's so much good information in here as well. Like sailing with peers, like they have more fun if they do it together. Get them a helmet, get them in the waves early. I think this is really good. And then, getting smaller boards and, dedicated sales. Um, yeah, especially sales with smaller boom cutouts. At Ezzy, we used to make a dedicated high performance kid sale back when I was a kid, and then for some years later, and we can still make that. So if that's something you want for your kids, reach out to me. Yeah, so much good information in here. So this is, I think, something that's really worth reading if you have kids and you want to start. The great post. Yeah, this is cool. This is a picture of Peter's kids. Love it. Um, yeah, Andre also. Um, Pascal is asking if I've windsurfed Pacas Mile. I have not. I'd like to though. I'd like to. So I love this discussion thread. I'm gonna do another one, and this is the discussion for this week. And the theme, because I am getting ready to go to do the master classes in Morocco, is about coaching. So, what is your experience with windsurfing coaching? Tell us your stories, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So, did you have a really amazing experience or a really bad experience? What worked best for you? Oops, I want to keep the color. So we got to lose one character. So we'll get rid of this comma. Um, so ideally, you've got some good stories, but also if there's something in here that is useful for people about to go on a master class, like the people that are coming to my master classes in Morocco, like what's a tip that you could give them? Or maybe it's even a bit of advice for me. Like, what do you think that works really well when windsurfing coaches do it? So your stories, your experiences, tips, advice, all of that, post it here. This is the discussion post for the week. And I can talk a little bit about I'll do something in here with my experience with coaching, both being coached and then also coaching on the other side. I'm going to refresh this to see if Kevin's video is uploaded. It is. All right, so we're going to go through Kevin's video and then call it a day. Again, if you want to support this coaching and the community, the best way to do that right now is to go into your local WhatsApp group and share. I did this video, so I'll post it again in the group just so that it's a fresh link. Also posted it in the chat, but it's this video, which is about just what it's like to level up on a masterclass. Just post this in your local group. Let people know that this community exists and that the master classes exist. So that's the best way to help. So I'm posting it one more time in the group. If you want to help this community and the live coaching, share this video in your local WhatsApp group and encourage them to join this Facebook community and the live coaching. Yeah, so that's what you can do if you want to support. You can do it this week. It's easy, takes a minute. All right, this is posting, and then we're going to get into Kevin's video. All right, so let's turn off the sound. All right, you guys can see it. I'm going to leave it this size. All right, so lots of speed. I like to see it. Good size on the waves. Beautiful. Ooh, some energy in that cutback. All right. Boom, hitting the white water. We're going to get another one. There's a section for it. There's a section for it. Yes. Yeah, that's what I like to see. So I know you didn't make it, but this is exactly what I want to see you going for, Kevin, is going for these sections, getting your board in that high five, boom, making contact. So why are you falling? So you might think that this is a mistake and that you shouldn't do this because you're falling, but this is what you want to do. And so you should judge your sessions not by how many times you fall, but by how many times you go for it. And this is going for it. We can talk a little bit why you fall. So you lose the fins and then you really sheet in. And in fact, sheeting in is what makes the sheeting is actually what kind of makes you fall in the end. And so if you really have the knees bent and you're sheeting out while you're hitting this section, you'll end up getting projected by it into a cutback, and you'll be pushed in front of the wave. But when you sheet in, it pulls you upright and it pulls you off the rail. And then that makes it easier for the board to slide and move laterally rather than carving on the rail. So the sheeting in is not good. And it might be that you're really pushing the board sideways. And instead, what you want to be doing is really pushing down on the heels. So you really want to be thinking about being on the heels. But I love that you're going for that section. That's exactly what I want you to be doing. All right, let's look at this next wave. All right, so here you can go for that section. You can hit this. You're good enough, Kevin. You can fully hit this section. You've got a lot of power in this bottom turn. Instead of coming up here kind of under this white water, I want you to hit it here. This is a perfect corner pocket section for you to hit. Just come up and hit that. Instead, you're turning a bit under it, getting away from the high five, and that's why you crash, because then you're not getting the projection from the wave and you get stuck under it and it breaks on top of you. And so I really want you to hit those sections, and it's actually safer, and you're good enough. You're good enough to do it. It's a lot of fun. It's dynamic. It's what you want to be doing. There's another one. Love it. Good energy. Could get a little bit more high five on those kind of turns, really presenting the bottom of the board. Boom, just like that. It's like you heard me in the video and you just did it. Perfect. The other thing that I want you to do, and you just did it also there a little bit, is to sheet out more in your bottom turns, which will allow you to get more vertical. So there, great job with the board placement for the high five. This, you also sheet out more and it allows you to come more vertically on the wave. Now, that wave, the energy was petering out, so you didn't get a lot of connection. But generally, sheeting out more is going to, in the second part of your bottom turn, like you did there at the end, is going to allow you to get more vertical. So this, now we're back on the first wave. This turn, it's hard to say. Like when I watched this the first time, what I was thinking is I wanted to see you come up higher on the wave. It's hard to see with this angle. I think I would be able to do a better analysis if we had the video from the beach with this kind of pocket turn, but I think you could be doing this up here. You don't have to be mid-face. You could do this more on the top of the wave. It will feel really good. So those are my main comments. I don't want to give you too much to think about, but really going, oh, I like that turn. I like that turn. So really going for those corner pocket high fives. And then when you do, really focus on being on your heels and sheeting out rather than sheeting in and trying to push the board sideways, push it out in front of you. So you're like pushing it down on the heels and sheeting out, and that will allow those really nice off the lips rather than sliding out. All right, like that, we are caught up. Thank you everyone for joining. I really appreciate you being here. I hope you have a good week, and it's windy. I'm going to Morocco and it's windy there. So if you are jonesing for wind and you don't have wind at home, join us on the second Masterclass week in Morocco. It's consistently windy. I'm looking forward to getting on the water almost every day that I'm there. So if that's what you want, join us. We've got space June 15th to 21st. Sign up on windsurfingmasterclass.com. All right, I'm signing off.